to that whatsoever. The Bible warned us about science that is falsely so-called. I'm convinced this evolution theory is a great exaggeration from the facts. The facts are we see animals produce variations. Darwin noticed a lot of varieties of finches, 14, varieties of pigeons. But then he extrapolated that way beyond the facts, and it became a religious worldview that destroys Christians' faith in the Bible. And it keeps non-Christians from even examining the claims of Christianity. And I think this evolution theory is not only dumb, it's dangerous. Most kids who go from Christian homes to secular schools will lose their faith by the end of their first year of college.
10 minutes for rebuttal is
okay.
Up. So to be able to start with the presenting your case, unless it's just a continuation. But our people will begin now to start picking up questions. But I want to remind you that Professor Paulson will be finishing with his rebuttal, and we'll make a couple of go-throughs for picking up the questions. So be sure that if you still want to wait until after Professor Paulson is done speaking, we will be picking up those questions again and going through those to be fair. I just want to remind, again, save the applause for afterwards. And I also wanted to mention that we're using this debate as a fundraising function for our student organization. And we ask that if anyone here or everyone here that enjoyed tonight's program would like to see such things as this brought to campus more often, we're doing this, we're trying to do this as best we can in a very unbiased way to moderate. We will be having tables outside where we can take your kind contributions. Thank you. And Mr. Hovind, then, you have 20 minutes for your presentation.
All right, thank you, sir. Let me give you a little history of what happened to make this evolution theory become so popular in the last few centuries. Charles Darwin, fresh out of Bible college at age 22 in 1831, set sail on the HMS Beagle. As Darwin sailed around the world, he came to the Galapagos Islands, where he counted 14 different varieties of finches, based on their beak shape. Charlie counted the finches, killed all of them he could find. He hated birds because he loved worms. He was kind of a strange fella. But Charlie shot lots of birds and collected them and put them into piles and said there were 14 different varieties of finches. He concluded that all the finches had a common ancestor. Well, I bet you're right, Charlie. It was a bird. And then Charlie said in his book on page 170, it is a truly wonderful fact that all animals and all plants throughout all time and space should be related to each other. Well, now hold on just a minute, Charlie. You see 14 kinds of birds and you conclude the birds and the bananas are related? That's quite a stretch, don't you think? He's going way beyond the observed evidence. He left his science and went into his religion. And textbooks are really good at that, about mixing science and religion all the time. They say we can't have religion in schools. Well, we've got religion in schools as long as we have evolution in there. See, Charlie observed microevolution. Dogs produce a variety of dogs. Roses produce a variety of roses. This is a fact, folks. It happens. It's observable. And some people might call these different kinds of roses a new species, and they get all excited. Wow, we have a new species. Or a gull in this example. It's still the same kind of animal. That's not the real issue here behind evolution. The Bible says the animals are going to bring forth after their kind, not species. See, evolution is religious. There are 6 different meanings to the word. We have cosmic evolution. That would be the Big Bang. That's what the textbooks teach. 20 billion years ago, there was a Big Bang. Now, if Mr. Paulson does not believe what I'm about to share for definitions for evolution, if he doesn't think that's really fair to call that part of evolution, then please join me, Mr. Paulson, in getting this kind of garbage out of our textbooks. Because this is included with the evolution theory as far as the kids are concerned. They think that's part of evolution. Then we have chemical evolution, if evolution really happened, and the Big Bang produced hydrogen and helium. How did we get the higher elements? There are at least 92 elements naturally occurring, plus the synthetic ones. How do you get those? It's true that some of these higher elements form in stars, but no, you've already got a star as a furnace or a factory to produce this. Originally, from your Big Bang, how did you get all these higher chemicals? Or if the stars evolve first, then you can replace 2 and 3, you can switch order. What about stellar and planetary evolution? Nobody has ever observed one star forming. None. We've seen lots of them blow up. Nobody's ever seen one form. And there are several out there. I mean, step outside and take a look. There's enough stars out there that right now everybody on Earth could own 2 trillion of them to themselves. That's the ones they know of. Then you'd have to have organic evolution. That's the origin of life. Nobody's ever seen non-living material come alive. The definition he chose for evolution was interesting because it started with living organisms changing. Well, okay, then if you don't believe this is part of the real evolution, then help me get this out of the textbooks, because the students are taught that non-living material came alive. They are taught spontaneous generation, I assure you. Here's typical textbook. 4.6 billion years ago, the Earth cooled down. As the Earth formed, it was like the moon, and there were hot pools of bubbling lava. And oceans formed as it rained on the rocks for millions of years. Yes, boys and girls, millions of years of torrential rains created great oceans. Now, if this is not really part of the argument about evolution, then help me get this junk out of the textbooks. If you really want to make the argument about evolution, variations, 2 species coming from a common kind, well, then I'll join you on that. That happens, okay? But they're sneaking in a lot of other stuff under this umbrella of evolution. This textbook says the first self-replicating systems must have emerged from this organic soup. Swirling in the waters of the oceans is a bubbling broth of complex chemicals. Progress from a complex chemical soup to a living organism is very slow. Well, I guess it is. It's totally stopped. It doesn't happen at all. That's how slow it is. But the kids are taught this kind of stuff. Now, you have to really watch this. I've learned in the last couple of years, the evolutionists are backing off of pushing their whole theory, and they're trying to get the kids to bite off a little bitty chunk and believe in microevolution, which is certainly true. They're trying to change the definition to mean only changing in living organisms after they've come alive. But I'm telling you, this other stuff is in the books, folks. This one tells the kids the humans, the birds, and the crocodiles have a common ancestor. Now, that's not observed. This is somebody's religion. They've mixed it in with science. Everything inside this circle is religious speculation. You might see a variety of crocodiles, and you might see a variety of humans coming from a common ancestor, but that doesn't prove the crocodile and the human are related. See, these evolutionists are really good, and I must admire their enormous faith. They're able to take a little bit of evidence and extrapolate it to mean a whole lot more than is obvious. They assume, because they see, several different species of gulls, that this proves the gulls and the bananas and the people are related. Then we have to have macroevolution. That's changing between major kinds of animals. That's never been observed. Speciation is not macroevolution. Microevolution, variations within the kinds, not species, that has been observed, and that one is scientific. The first 5 are religious. So when I say evolution is a religion, that's exactly what I'm meaning. And trust me, all 6 of them are put in together. This one is science, and I object to calling it microevolution, but we're kind of stuck with the word. It's just a variation, folks. That's all that's ever been observed. And I guarantee by the end of the evening, you will not have heard one example of anything above this level right here. There are no known examples of any kinds of evolution above the speciation level. The evolutionists believe all life forms came from a common ancestor 3 billion years ago. Now, today we have 250 varieties of dogs. Some say more than that. Depends how you count them. And they probably had a common ancestor. It was a dog. And some people might say they're different species, subspecies. Okay, well, you can pick any terms you want, but they're the same kind of animal. That certainly doesn't prove what the evolutionist theory teaches, that all the dogs of the world, yeah, you got a variety, big dogs and little dogs. And a 3-year-old will tell you it's the same kind. Let's take a test here. We've got a dog, a wolf, a coyote, and a banana. Which one is not like the others? And a 3-year-old can figure it out, okay? They're the same kind. And this is where the argument comes in. See, the evolutionists believe all forms of life came from one ancestor, and that ancestor came from a rock. It rained on the rocks for millions of years and produced soup in the oceans, and the ocean soup came alive. That's exactly what they're teaching. And I resent that. See, they try to make the kids make a gigantic leap of faith and logic to going from the observed microevolution into believing in macroevolution. And that's where the whole problem comes in. Macroevolution is a fantasy. It's based upon imagination. And they keep arguing about where is this line. I'm sure I'll get the question later on. What's the exact definition of kind? Well, I don't know exactly. I think from the Bible we would have to conclude it's those that were originally able to reproduce and produce viable offspring. And they may have diversified now to where a horse and a zebra maybe aren't, interfertile. Maybe they still are, I don't know. But it's obviously the same kind. I think the kind was the original reproducing pairs of animals. So the number 6, microevolution, is